On the afternoon of Good Friday, April 1st, 1988, in a quiet neighborhood on the northeast fringe of Fort Wayne, Indiana, the world was ordinary, beautiful even. Birds sang in a late spring breeze, children played in yards, and an 8-year-old girl named April Marie Tinsley walked home from a friend's house, her bright umbrella tucked under her arm like a promise of sunshine. She never made it home. In those early hours, April had been carefree, cheerful, chatty, chased by sunlight. She was heading back to her house just a few blocks away. Moments later, no one saw her cross the street again. The neighbors, few witnesses to the ordinary rhythm of small-town life, were about to see that rhythm shattered. At around 3 p.m., the phone rang at the Tinsley home. It was a neighbor. "Your daughter's not home. We haven't seen her." Her mother's heart skipped a beat, then stopped. Police and volunteers poured over every inch of the neighborhood. Within hours, 250 Fort Wayne officers and 50 volunteers combed fields, backyards, and woods. It was every parent's worst nightmare, and a community's worst fear realized. But the world kept spinning, unaware, unprepared for the horror that had just unfolded. 3 days later, a jogger spotted something on the shoulder of a rural road in Spencerville. A small, lifeless form, battered and alone in the tall grass of a ditch. It was April. An autopsy revealed the devastating truth. She had been raped and strangled. A little girl, not much older than a toddler, had been taken, violated, suffocated, and discarded like trash. Near her body lay one of her shoes, a haunting emblem of innocence lost. The days turned into years, but the fear did not fade. In May of 1990, a strange message was found, scrawled on the side of a barn. "I kill 8-year-old April Marie Tinsley. Did you find her other shoe? Haha, I will kill again." Written in childish crayons. Though police initially questioned whether it was a cruel hoax, forensic evidence told another story. The same DNA profile found in the barn message would later link these taunts to the true killer. Then in the spring of 2004, the terror returned. Handwritten notes began appearing at playgrounds and mailbox clusters around Fort Wayne, delivered to unsuspecting young girls. Taped to bicycles, stuck into lunchbox compartments, placed in plastic bags with used condoms and Polaroid photos. One note chilled investigators to the bone. "Hi, honey. I've been watching you. I am the same person that kidnapped and raped and killed April Tinsley. You are my next victim." For the first time, the killer was boasting. Not just about a past crime, but about a future one. And yet, the trail went cold again. Through the 1990s and 2000s, Fort Wayne held its breath. Investigators chased leads that burned out, suspects questioned and cleared, tips that led nowhere. The FBI even joined the hunt in 2009, believing the case to be highly solvable, but without the key piece they needed, justice remained beyond reach. The case became a fixture on America's Most Wanted, Crime Watch Daily, and other national programs. But to April's family, it remained a nightmare without an ending. The community built memorials and held candlelight vigils. They planted April's garden, a serene tribute to her brief life, where pink magnolias bloom every spring like fragile echoes of what should have been. In 2018, technology met tenacity, inspired by breakthroughs in other cold cases, most notably the Golden State Killer, whose decades-old crimes were cracked using the same method. Investigators sent the suspect's DNA to Parabon Nanolabs for forensic genealogy analysis. This wasn't standard DNA matching, it was genealogical detective work, comparing genetic markers from the evidence with profiles on public family tree databases, tracing potential relatives backward until a suspect could be identified. Detective C.C. Moore, a specialist in this field, narrowed the suspect list down to 2 brothers. One lived quietly in a trailer park outside Grabille, Indiana. John D. Miller. Police began observing him. They collected his DNA, not from warrants buried in the case file, but from his own trash. 3 used condoms taken from Miller's refuse matched the DNA found in the 1988 evidence and the 2004 taunts. At last, the puzzle pieces fit. On July 15, 2018, officers from the Fort Wayne Police Department and the Indiana State Police arrived at Miller's mobile home unannounced. "Do you know why we're here?" they asked. He looked them dead in the eyes and whispered a name no one wanted to hear: April Tinsley. In that moment, the decades-old silence broke. Miller confessed. He admitted to abducting April, taking her to his trailer, raping and strangling her, claiming he choked her so she wouldn't tell anyone. He described how he dumped her body in the ditch the next morning, and how, seeing one of her shoes in his car days later, he threw it in beside her remains. He said these words with a calmness that sent chills through the detectives. 10 minutes was all it took. Later that year, on December 7, 2018, Miller pleaded guilty to charges of murder and child molestation. A judge sentenced him to 80 years in prison, 50 for murder, 30 for child molestation. Community vigils and memorial walks were held in April's honor, and investigators who had stuck with the case for decades received national policing awards. For April's mother, every sentence brought a bittersweet release, not of joy, but of closure. A child no longer defined by mystery, but by the justice finally served. In a world where unsolved crimes linger like ghosts, the April Tinsley case stands as a stark reminder of how time does not heal all wounds. This was not just a violent crime. It was a terror that spanned decades, tormenting a community with every taunting note, every unanswered question, and every anniversary marked by silence louder than any scream. This case is linked in method, if not motive, to other remarkable breakthroughs in forensic genealogy, including the capture of the Golden State Killer and the recent resurgence in solving cold cases long thought impossible. These moments in criminal history remind us that while evil can hide in the shadows, truth has a way of catching up, sometimes decades later, and often through tools that would have seemed like science fiction to investigators back in 1988. What hurts the most in this story is not only the brutality, but the long wait for answers. The suffering didn't stop on April 4th, 1988. It continued through every taunting note, every tip followed and dismissed, and every season that passed without justice. And yet, in a technological age where DNA from a discarded cigarette butt or a trash bag can unlock decades-old mysteries, the Tinsley case shows us that no silence lasts forever. The brave persistence of law enforcement, the innovation of forensic science, and the unbreakable love of a grieving family together illuminate a path toward resolution, even when hope seems dim. For every April Tinsley in the world, there is a message. Justice, though delayed, is never truly beyond reach. This is your guide through the darkness, and you are watching The Dark Archives.